Sudha Live, and I'm here joining you from Silicon Valley, end of day, Friday, and very happy to meet you all. And for those of you who are joining me from Asia and it's your morning in the beginning of the weekend, I appreciate it a lot. Okay, so I realized last week, I do this every week on Friday, 6 o'clock my time here in Silicon Valley, that is Pacific time. I realized that I was on mute for a little bit and then I came back and then I kind of edited the recording out. So when you watch it back, you would not see that I was mute talking to myself happily for a little bit. But I didn't see you guys respond back. So I want to see that energy today because I'm here doing this for you. And it gets more fun when we have a conversation. So I'm streaming using live stream, using Restream. And this is streaming on to YouTube and to LinkedIn. I'm going to be monitoring only LinkedIn. So if you have a question for me, I would love for you to tag a friend or post a question, or if you're working in the area, or just say hello. Okay. And it's been a very crazy time in technology industry in general, and that's kind of our life here in Silicon Valley. But I think this week was like a step up from there. So I'm going to tell you why. And usually the kind of conversations I'm having, what I'm thinking about in the week, kind of influences me on how I'm synthesizing the week. So there were so many things happening in the week, and see, let's where we go with it. So some of you might have seen my comments on LinkedIn on specific topics, but now it'll all make sense why I was saying what I was saying. And you get a chance to talk to me back and say, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense, or this inspired me, or I'm doing this other thing. I'm here to listen too. So one of the things, for those of you who are new here, one of the things I do in Sudha Live is I bring you AI opportunities, and I also synthesize the latest in AI space and do some kind of analysis and bring it to you with a lens for you to learn, develop some critical thinking on all the news and happening that's out there, and figure out what you can do with it. So obviously there'll be events and jobs that and call for papers. Those I'll be sharing, but I'm not just going to read a laundry list to you. So for those of you who are new, everything that I'm going to be sharing here is going to be part of my newsletter. It's called bit.ly/Jamthe newsletter. So let me go back and share the screen. Since I'm on Restream, I just have to hop into another tab. So bear with me. Yeah, I could not do that with Zoom again. I had Zoom and it said connect to custom live stream, and then it kind of spun around, didn't do anything. So if you're a magician who knows to get Zoom to behave, I'm all ears. So talk to me. And I've concluded it is not Restream's problem. It is that connection from Zoom, and it worked last time. It worked during Weekly Wednesday in the middle of the week, so with the same setup. So I don't know what is different. That's the thing. I come from a world of software in the past where the one thing that software would do is be consistent. Even if it's a bug, you can recreate the same bug and it will behave the same way, because somebody has programmed it with a certain set of logic on steps that the program is supposed to follow. And so any app or any web interface or anywhere you're interacting with the computer, it's consistency, right? And in the days of AI, I asked this of all my class, what is different? Everything the AI is doing is predictive, which means every single time you interact with it, it's making a guess. How is it making a guess? It's going back to its training memory. And then based on that, it says, this is what I've learned. This is the highest probability of what you're looking for. That's how it does facial recognition. That's how it does all your generative AI, cool stuff, your chatbot typing the answer for you, or even the next word in a Google search. Everything is coming from that guess. That's the world we are operating in. But still, I believe that Restream connecting to LinkedIn and streaming for me is not an AI problem. I believe it is some kind of technology glitch. I hope somebody will enlighten me on how that is done. So enough about Treestream, because I talk a lot about Treestream. So the exciting thing this week was there's a lot of buzz around. OpenAI has announced that uh, first the beginning of the week, the first announcement was if you use ChatGPT on an app, you can talk to it. So it has turned the mic on. It's connected with the mic. So it is behaving like Alexa or Siri or Google Assistant. And what is happening is you talk to it, it takes your voice, converts to text. So speech to text, and then it does its magic of generating content, replying back. It is still giving text, so it's not doing the text to speech part like Alexa is doing, at least the voice, right? It takes voice input, was the first step. Later on, then this whole announcement came. I have not seen that in action. I have not seen research papers. All I have seen is a demo and a lot of excited people in YouTube, like showing a piece of this demo and projecting around it. But it's very, very cool because uh, the whole generative AI LLM world is going towards being multimodal, which means we just chat with it, or we may generate images, it generates music, it generates code and stuff, different modalities. Now, with GPT-4, it all came together. Even Bard has everything together in one. But with the promise of OpenAI was like you can have a conversation where you're talking by text, and it can fetch you an image, or you can put an image in there and ask it today show something in there, and it will actually, like, understand the image, and basically it will reply back in text. So it's kind of what we would do in a natural world. So the way the marketing is now, ChatGPT can listen, see, hear, talk. I think the marketing side of it is little exaggerated, but it's an integration of multiple modalities of input and output. But what kind of applications you'll build with it is left to you. The whole auto GPT world was all about agent AI and automating a lot of things, but then we haven't seen any practical applications of that. There's a hackathon going on right now. Maybe we will see some amazing applications, but I have even taught that in my Stanford AI class, but I've not seen practical applications. So I feel like we are still in the stage of creating the more and more technology, or stitching technology to the next step, like baby steps, and waiting for our imagination. I feel like it's waiting for creativity for us to do something. Earlier, I used to say, what's your business problem? What are you passionate about? What do you want to solve with this technology? Like, for example, with Global South in AI, I talk about how you take language AI, make it work for your language and your country, for your culture, for your problem. What do you want to do? And do that. But I think now it is not just different languages, it's not just different region, it's not even business. I just think, when we are talking about how AI is changing humanity, and how it is going to change a new world and create a different world of the future, and there is a lot of discussion about can AI take over and do this and that. I'm not even going there. But I feel like we are at a cusp of something. It's calling for us to think about what does it mean to be human, and what do we do different from a machine. We should not even like compare ourselves equal as machine and say, oh, a machine does math faster than us. Hey, we can sing songs. That's not how we should think about it. We as humans over generations have been very curious, and to explore and break things, take risks and build things. And that's the place we are back in with AI, and AI is our tool. We are not pushing it enough. We are not making enough out of it, is where I think we are standing at. Why am I saying that? One of the things that I'm getting ready to do is I'm going to go to Barcelona. I love Barcelona, and I've been at the Barcelona Technology School, where I've been teaching AI ethics. I serve on their strategic advisory board, and I get very excited every time I go to Barcelona, because I get to meet my past students. I get to meet a new batch of students. Okay, so let me share my screen. Instead of just looking at my face, you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so Barcelona Technology School. So There's Dr. Icom. I've done a research paper with him. And they're brilliant students, brilliant thinkers. This is about digital transformation. They have four different masters. And I teach AI ethics in all of them. And it is amazing, amazing place. So I'm very excited to be going there and, meeting the students. I'm actually even going to do a session on generative AI with them. But I've been thinking it is easy to parrot this is the technology, and OpenAI is promising that the computer will, chat GPT will talk and listen and tweet maybe. But the thing is, what does that mean for us? What are we doing? What is our place in all this? What can we do with this learning? And so I'm going to have a conversation with the entire student body of the Barcelona Technology School. But also, another exciting thing is, all of you know that I get very excited whenever I meet a new batch of my students. And I am actually going to be a part of a new master's program in a different college. Let me show you that. Where is that window? I think in Restream I have to do the share and then I will see the window. Okay, here I got it. Thank you. So I just met the first batch. This is an old school, large school, Elisava, Barcelona School of Design and Engineering, and it's creatives. And we are going to teach creatives in a masters in artificial intelligence and human design. And it's a whole new program. So we are saying, how do we get these students to create the future? And these are creators and thinkers. How do we teach them technology? How do you teach them AI? And how do we get them to think about what do they want to do and then arm them to go change the world? And so this is a new master's program that's starting, and I'm going to be meeting with the class and doing my first session on October 2nd. So I'm super excited. So one of the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I've been thinking about where are we with AI and with the new technologies. It's very easy for me to say, okay, this is what Bard is doing, this is what GPT is doing, kind of, give an update on that. You can read my book on that, right, to see the latest models, definition of the models, and the impact, right, on various different realms, on how enterprise would use it and various industries would use it and things like that, right? But I want, whenever I teach, I want my students to be able to think and innovate and go change the world. And I associate myself with those groups that are trying to do that essentially. So I've been thinking, and I've been talking to Yashashwini Vishwanath, who used to host weeklywed with me in the past. Yash, on what kind of technology stack should we be teaching these people who are designers, who are hungry to learn anything and everything. So they're going to learn cognitive science, they're going to learn AI principles, they're going to learn a lot of things. But what is it that we should be giving them as a tech stack? And we realized that AI is big, and Yash is an AI researcher, so she's coming at it from a back end, building models. So we were thinking maybe we need to teach them a cloud and we need to give them cognitive services. But looks like we need to go past that. We need to give them some tools. We'll figure that out. So if you have thoughts on, if you're a designer, if you are a UX designer, if you are a creative and you're thinking about using AI, what do you want? If you could build something, what would that be? If we could give you some tool, what would that be? If we could give you a world where as a creative person, you can participate with AI to go build the world, what would that look like? I want to hear from you. And if you're coming and watching this later, that's okay. You can tag it, you tag a friend, or, add a comment. I'll come back, check this, and answer questions. And this is the beginning of a conversation, I hope. So that is one that's running on top of my mind. And we've talked about AI has bias and all that stuff. So this week we had Weekly Wednesday, which is a global speaker series with all my students that happens online at Business School of AI. It's streamed here on LinkedIn. And I did this webinar on LLM, large language models, part one, looking under the hood. And then we said, okay, how do we now take that to go build chatbots? How do we build machine translation, all kinds of things? And we had a very interesting person, Yashwant. This is a different person. We've not met him before. And he came in and he said, let me show you something I was teaching, right? I was basically saying, okay, when you build for enterprise, you can do fine tuning. How do you build out of LLM? You can do fine tuning, but there is this new concept where you can use your own data set, and you can use chat gpt to go do the search for you. And this has a jargon. It's called retrieval augmented generation, RAG. And LangChain used to be this library, and it's like this buzz startup, and it's available in open source, so you can use LangChain. And I will actually post the links on how you can do this if this is something you want to do. But you can take your own data, like your own data set. So I could take my book as a PDF and make it as my data, and then have chat gpt using LangChain query it, and then give you a chatbot. I want to do that. If anybody wants to work on such a project with me, I'm happy to, give my book copy. I'm happy to work with you and make that happen. So that is the discussion we were talking about. We were still like neck deep in this tech immersion, right? We are talking about, okay, this is this new thing. And so if you go to weeklywed, which is my usual on archived on YouTube, you will take a look at that. You will be able to, understand the whole LLMs and how this is built and all that good stuff. So go for it. And but I want you to go past that to say, okay, how are we going to go build this? What are we, how do we, get the creatives to participate equally, and how do we make the world, design the new world that we want? And one of the things is, I found that when you're thinking chat gpt, there's so much excitement about chat gpt, but when anybody goes to build a chat bot, nobody tells you this. But there are, other than training it, and here it is like millions of billions of parameters, and here's the chatbot and the LLM, the actual chatbot, by the time it comes to you, two things happen. One is called instruction tuning, which means the chatbot uh, is tested like every AI, and it fails. And then they say, no, 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 this is bad answer, this is good answer, and they retrain it. They kind of keep doing this, the developers of the chat bot keep doing it till it gets tuned to the kind of sensibilities you want. If you talk to ChatGPT and ask it to compare two things, it will never take a position and say this is good or this is bad. It will say both are good, there are so many things, and it talks very diplomatically. That is one of its instruction tuning that has been done for ChatGPT intentionally by the makers of ChatGPT. So you could do that instruction training so that it behaves the way you want it to behave. The second thing is called reinforcement learning with human feedback. That's another thing where they say, okay, the human gives feedback and they test it out, and then they kind of relearn. They make the model relearn to get to the place where it is. And so these are things that you typically will not hear. You say, hey, AI assistant. Even I said, hey, we are testing out the AI assistant from Zoom, which is doing summarization of my sessions. If you attend weekly WED, you will get a summary on email, so you can, quickly read through it instead of rewatching the video for a while. So what is that reinforcement learning with human feedback? So the important thing is we forget the human in there, because finally we want us as humans to be able to do this. So which means we have to go back to to be very practical about it. I'm not here to talk philosophically. In fact, next weekly wed, Susanna Raj is going to come and talk about, can AI heal us? She did a session on this at Columbia University. I was talking to you about this last week. So she's going to come and have a session with us and talk to you at weekly wed, and lead this to, what is the role of AI in healing us, and into the ethics of it. And so that'll be a fun thinking session. I am not even going in that. I'm still a very logical engineering brain kind of person. And so I want to know, if we are going to build, if we are going to we are going to create tools, or we are going to create the platforms, and we are going to have a conversation as a team with creatives to go build AI, we are missing something. Today, we don't have anything. We just have technology and API that developers are building, and they're building more on top of it. And one of the things that got me thinking was, this week there was the writers strike has been going on in Hollywood for a long time, and one of the things is they won. And there's been discussion on AI can write. It can write your marketing copy. It can't write the same way that a creative can do. And so, what was the discussion in there? Let me show you. This is what the Writers Guild had shared as what we want. This was their original proposal, and this was what they actually agreed on. And this is all the stuff that, in the television world and writers compensation, you can see all that. But what interests me was, they had a section on artificial intelligence. And so, this is what they achieved. So essentially, writers have won that the studio would not let them write a uh, story, script, and then say, oh, now we're going to go use this to train the AI. And we exactly saw this last week with Scale AI hiring poets. And they're going to make them write poetry and then feed it to train their AI. And so, exactly that is what the writers have said that they don't want to do. Why do they not want to do this? Think about it. It is their livelihood, but it is also their creativity. And I had come across this interesting book, uh, and this amazing person I want to share with you. Give me a minute. I want to pause and see if you guys have questions. Then maybe I will answer that first. Let me. This is exactly how I talk to myself. Okay, I'm just checking if you have a comment, question, because LinkedIn just shows me people are there. It doesn't show me who is there. So I just see you as a number. I'm sure you're more than that and you want to speak up. So you can like or comment and do one of the emojis if you don't feel like chatting. But I would like for you to ask me a question, and you can disagree with me. That'll make it even more fun conversation to have. So talk to me, add a comment here, and if you're coming back and watching this later, I will come back and answer your question, I promise. So where was I was telling you about an interesting book that I came across this week. So I was talking about how AI, we are talking about technology, we are building up more technology, but we need a human feedback loop to train the chat GPT. We need human centric design for us to, an interaction and something else. We need platforms, we need tools, we need new frameworks of designing AI to actually make AI work for all of us, with the creatives coming in to contribute to make it the world we want to be in a very creative way. So what is missing in all that? So if we look at AI and language models as just data and words, then we are kind of missing the point. But that's the reality where we are. Last week I was talking about the dictionary of lost words and how LLMs are words, and we should understand the power of words. I'm not going to go back and repeat that, but building on that, uh, if AI is being trained by data, one of the things I've struggled with is how to communicate what is bothering me, that AI is trained by data from the internet, especially with LLMs, and it takes that and then it's just going to uh, know, understand, or learn that's what is our world, and then it's going to talk to us. So there have been AI ethicists like Susanna Raj, Renee Cummings, and so many others, Patrick Lynn. uh, all of them have been saying AI is biased, and then it talks about specific bias in the data set. But I want to take a step back. Like, if AI is being trained by the world data that's out there, then it is going to bring all the biases that we carry with us, right? And when you're listening to me, I am saying something, and my lived experiences and my biases is actually formulating what I'm saying, and I have a certain interpretation of what I mean by that. When you're listening, it's the same thing. You're going to listen to that, and it's like when you listen to music, this happens faster than when you listen to a person talking, but you're still going to interpret it in your own way. So I found this particular book and author and a research work that resonated with me. So I'm going to bring that to you. So before I show you this amazing person and her book, I just loved the choice of words that I was looking for. That was articulated very beautifully. So this person is a developmental feminist psychologist by training, and her name is Angelica Ferrara. She's a postdoc fellow at at the Clayman Institute in here in Stanford. And so one of the things that has always interested Angelica is in tracking the ways that patriarchy imbues itself into our everyday lives and our notions of self. I find that that is too deep. But if you think about it, I host these IoT Day Women, where it's all women speakers on IoT Day for 24 hours, and I want to bring down the patriarchy, right, in everything I do. But it's not just that I come from a certain place and I saw patriarchy, treat me a certain way or come in the way and build ceilings or whatever, right? It is more than that. It actually impacts us all as humans wherever we are. And so um, Ferrara did her research and found that uh, girls were able to, so she was looking at girls describing their thoughts and feelings very clearly when they were, yeah, then they were they were very young. And then right around the age 13 and 14, they started developing what Ferrara calls as a feminine language, of as if they're not thinking. So there would be more phrases like I don't know, I guess. And then the same thing occurs in boys as they get older. There is this toxic masculinity that gets into the society that impacts them. But what you see as an output is they would not discuss their emotions, and they would develop a masculine language of not feeling, and they would say I don't care, whatever. So this is something that she tracked and said this becomes infused into language. So now when we have diversity programs and we say girls should not women should not be treated as just being emotional, and they should be more brave and bold and assertive, it goes way back, because this masculine language and feminine language is fed into us in society right when we are children. And this is just talking the Western world, but I think this is everywhere. And so she was talking about how these phrases become infused into language over time, and that became a dissertation. She developed a model that predicts depression and quality of friendship of youth based on such language. So that is where it gets very interesting. I'm going to now share her picture, and then I'm going to get to her book because I'm really intrigued. So last week I was talking about dictionary.com adding new words, and how the words are what are training LLM. We should just think about this with responsibility. And then scale.ai actually hiring poets to get poetry written to feed it to the AI look like papers fed into furnace. In my visually, it bothered me. But now with the Writers Guild winning, saying you cannot take our work, we will write original work with heart, with feeling, with you know uh, with responsibility of our society in a certain sense. And you can just train the AI without our consent. If they choose to do that, they have the right to do that. So this actually makes me think about, okay, this is bigger than just words that we are using and saying, okay, we are going to train LLMs with words. Because if it is going to scour the internet, so if you remember, I was doing this webinar on LLM and said all these LLM models, BART and GPT and WORD and everything else is covering the internet, getting data from language that's out there. and then says, okay, I got it, and it creates a foundation model. Now we come and build the chat gpts of the world, and AI assistants, and all kinds of language translation models and everything on top of that. So now if we already have language in society, which is masculine and feminine, and we kind of bifurcate the world into, guys and girls talking a certain way, and brought that into our language, then we are actually propagating that bias. And so one of the interesting next step that Ferrara has come up with is, it's not just the words, but when you think about AI or any product, one of the things that I was thinking is, this is Ferrara. I'm a huge fan. So one of the things I was thinking, so this is her book, new book. Since I'm showing you that, I might as well show you what this is about. So she has written a book called in men she's written a book called Men Without Men. And so she basically saying more and more men are isolated and have less friends, or they don't have friends, they don't have a social structure. And in the US, 1 out of 4 men have zero close friendships in their lives. And in the UK, this ratio is one out of three. Of course, it is, only US, UK, and very biased in a very limited sense. It's not biased, it's limited. If you expand this into the world, the numbers might look different. Or maybe a very communal society, the numbers might be influenced by other factors. But the idea that she says, men's isolation is a product and a project of patriarchy. And she argues that the qualities that patriarchal masculinity emphasizes are at odds with things men need. So by accepting patriarchy, men getting masculine language right from when they are 13 and so on, and then benefiting from the patriarchy, they miss out on forming connections right when they are that ripe age, where they would want to build friendships, learn to be vulnerable. And she believes that this desire for emotionally intimate friendships with other people of our age across culture toward history is a feminist issue. And so now, why am I saying all this in the middle of this AI opportunity Sudha live? Why do you think I'm saying that? You can add a comment. You can agree, disagree, clap, or I don't think you have thumbs down option in LinkedIn, so you'll have to say something bad or say bad, or say no. It's okay. But I believe, like, when we are thinking about, first of all, language models are trained by language, and if language is corrupt with patriarchy, with all its clause in it, then that we are going to propagate that. So when we say we are going to build the future, we are essentially going to carry over the darkness of the past into the future, and we need to stop. But the other thing is, in a very practical sense, when we build technology, when we build tools, there have been excitement about technology from consumer tools, though there are enterprise tools and platforms and hidden technologies that companies pay for. What we have seen as technology wave has been consumer technology. So you shop on Amazon or some shopping site, you go to some social media site where you are chatting with your friends, so you share pictures and you post things, and so those have all been consumer technologies. And so now when we're excited about language models, LLM, or generative AI generating images and voice and whatnot, uh, we are at that place where we need to build applications. And the applications we are seeing are still technical applications. It's missing that soul of interaction. That's where the people like my students are going to come in, the creatives, the UX designers, the general designers. They are going to come in, and they're going to build this new world. And when they build this world, that's when you will have the emotion to connect with the AI. So people have been fascinated with ChatGPT, in a very anthropomorphical way, but because they're chatting and it is talking back, they're like amazed, it talks like a human, right? But the emotional connection that you would have with an app because you have real people that you love are connecting with you through that app, or the emotional connection you would have with Facebook, for example. Even with all the things that has been pointed out as evil and wrong done by Facebook, people stay on Facebook because they have their people that they love from around the globe in there. People do WhatsApp and messages on phones and everything because they're connecting to another human on the other end. So fundamentally, as human, we want to be connected with other humans, and we are not going to just get wowed by technologies can be wowed by how ChatGPT is able to think and talk and walk and dance. It doesn't matter if it doesn't let me dance with my partner, if it doesn't let me talk to my mom, if it doesn't make a human connection to a stranger from whom I draw inspiration of some kind. It's not going to stick. That's what in product management world we call it a stickiness. So I believe that's the calling, right? How do we get that stickiness? And when we do that, if we have language corrupt with patriarchy, how do we remove that out of word embeddings? And there have been research done on word embeddings that mean derogatory things to women and stuff like that. And even Susanna Raj and I and Paria did a paper comparing three languages for the definition of the word women. We did Bari from South Sudan, Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, and Tamil from India. And we said, okay, the word for women, what does this mean? And we presented a poster at NeurIPS conference last December. So there has been research, but I'm calling for more research. But I'm calling for you to think about your role in building out a very human-centric AI and designing human-centric AI. And if you're a creative person, then how do you get involved? Because AI is not going to steal your job. AI cannot do your job. Now, how are you going to make AI smarter? How are you going to make the world smarter by making AI work for you? So that's my calling. At least, that's the beginning of my conversation with my students, and I'll keep you posted on where we go with all this. So as we are, let me see, we're running out of time. So let me tell you about some of the other opportunities, but it will all be back on the Jamthe newsletter, I promise. Okay, so I'm in a different window, and I'm looking at this. So next week at weeklywed, October 4th, I shared a lot of events on October 4th already on the Jamthe newsletter. So I'll add to that. I believe Renee Cummings has an event in Virginia Tech, Virginia University. And there is another one, HAI Vodcast with G. Wang and Vanessa Parley on what do we really want from AI. And it's a Zoom session and also a live session at Stanford. I have a bunch of other resources that I'm going to be sharing with you. And Patrick Ellen has done a paper on retrofitting fair use AI and generative AI. So that's an interesting read. I told you about the Writers Guild winning. That's cool. And then there's a whole bunch of buzz going on about regulation and conversations around it. So Yeshimabet Milner, who's the founder and CEO of Data for Black Lives, spoke to U.S. Congress on a briefing on artificial intelligence and civil rights by our Senator Cory Booker and the Lawyers Committee on Civil Rights. That's on YouTube. I believe I shared a link on LinkedIn. I will show that to you so you can capture that for a minute. You can go there. This was, is this the one? Yes. Yeah. So, and again, I'll be sharing all this on the Jamthe newsletter. So you don't need to kind of keep taking links and stuff. At least you'll be able to recognize what it is. But I would recommend following Yeshimabet Milner. She's amazing person. And I think it's worth following. Okay. What else have I got? Let me see before I close it. So one other thing I wanted to show you is link. Like if you notice closely, I've always said, AI is all around us. You don't need to go look for something. I always said, look at the phone, think about the apps you're using. And so my demos are to play with chats on your phone. There's a lot of intuitive AI, what Apple calls as intuitive AI. It's is part of your phone. Um, but if you look carefully, and this is a question for you, you can reply and we can pick up the conversation next week. When you go to Amazon, where is Amazon when you just shop on Amazon? Where is Amazon using LLM? How is Amazon using LLM? Remember, we were talking about LLM and we said what kind of things it can do. It can do summarization, it can do sequence to sequence translation, prediction, abstraction, generation. We spoke about various different applications that comes out of it. And so where is Amazon using it? So, like, you just look at it because you're on the receiving end of it, right? If it is done as beautiful user experience, you won't even notice. That's what we want. But I want you to stop and look at it as to how it is using it, what is it doing, and that kind of thing. I wanted to see whether I can show you this other thing which I thought was very cool from Microsoft. Again, I have no affiliation. I kind of kick and scream saying I have no affiliation. I'm not owned by any brands, but I call out and appreciate good technology when I see one. So it is hard for me to ignore something that's nicely done. And this is something that LinkedIn has integrated as Microsoft technology. I'm trying to find an article where I can show you how this is done, where somebody has done a post, like a real written article, right? Not my saved post, my own written post, like from LinkedIn. Um, Let me see whether I can find my own. Um, so basically, I'm looking for an article that I have written on LinkedIn. And from there, I'm going to show you how they've added inclusiveness using generative AI. It's beautifully done. I know it's worth the wait. Just give me a couple minutes, guys. Um, Nowadays, I'm doing a lot more post. I used to write very thoughtfully, a lot of post on LinkedIn. I am not finding time for that these days. Not good. So I just collect things and then I end up writing a book, but I should be writing more on LinkedIn, I think. Okay, so let me see what good articles. I found my old articles. It's just on LinkedIn on my profile. Um, okay, since I talked about the patriarchy and all that stuff, I am going to see whether I can show you one article from my past. Okay, so I'm going back, going to share. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off camera. So I'm going to go back and share with you and show you. So what I'm talking about is look around, and LLM and generative AI is being integrated everywhere. So this is LinkedIn. So this an article could be written by anybody. I'm just showing you an article that I myself wrote, right? This is a past article from 2021 from March, Women's Day. And I said, inviting you to learn from women's planning experts. So I called a bunch of women and told them to women's plain words. So for each word, there is a women who's an expert in that field, who's women's planning. What is facial recognition? What is deep learning? What is chatbot? Okay. Oh, didn't like it. Okay, so let me get out of this window. I just clicked something that didn't exist. I didn't want to go there. That was not my plan. I want to show you LinkedIn, how it is integrating a Microsoft technology to make it inclusive. It's not about this topic on women's planning. It just happens to be an article I wrote. I've written 110 articles. Ooh, I even forgot about it. But you can take any article written by anybody that you like, you want to read, and you will find this thing called open immersive reader. This is what I'm talking about. LinkedIn is not even bragging about it. Microsoft is not even doing, any press release about it. And they have like subtly, seamlessly integrated this open immersive reader. And what does it do? So now it takes the same article, happy women, this is what I wrote, right? I'm excited to introduce women's planning, where smart competent women explain a topic in their area of expertise. And wait for it, it's with no attitude, blah blah blah, right? So now the font of it has changed, so it is more inclusive for somebody who has visual difficulty reading the font, which it was before. The other thing is, it will now read. Okay, so you get the idea that this is, you can now have, that's obviously this has made it inclusive, but this is a very beautiful uh, way of applying generative AI, because now it's generating voice and it's reading things out for you. And of course they changed the font size. The I think the product manager working on this was saying, I want to make this inclusive. What are the problems people are facing? How do I do this? And then they put this where there is a lot of writing, and maybe it can read it out in voice and stuff like that. So I just love the application of it. I wanted to show you that. And then with that, I'm going to wrap up. And in the Jamthe newsletter, I will be sharing all the links I shared here today. And I will also share some jobs and few more events. And I will keep the events. I already shared a bunch of call for paper last week. I believe there is a few more that is coming. And specifically one I do not want you to miss is from Merv Hickok. And I would recommend you follow Merv Hickok. She's brilliant. And Merv had actually shared that the Springer Nature Group AI and Ethics Journal has a call for paper, and hope some of you can submit a paper for it. Okay, so with that, I want to wrap up. Thank you everybody for hanging around with me. And if you come and watch this, post a question and share your thoughts. And especially like if I'm showing you a tool like I did the recent one, tell me what you think. Tell me what. And our main discussion today was how language has patriarchy baked in, not in the documentation, right, in our lives. Now that feeds into the document on the internet, in how we talk and we write, and how we interact, and how we bring out personalities. And we have AI even doing behavior analytics. So there's a lot of bug introduced in the system if you're thinking about this as pure technology. So think about it. And I want to, especially my new students who are here thinking about human interaction and how you're going to design and learn AI, want you to think about it. What would you do? What would you build? What can we do? We cannot go back and clean all past data of the internet. That's been done before. We will introduce more biases. If I go and clean up some data set, I'm going to introduce my bias. So that's not the way to do that. So what would be the right way? Because there have been fairness models that kind of try to do that. But I would make you think about, if you're excited about the new technologies and building chatbots, what is the killer app you're going to build that creates that human connection for us? If you're building enterprise applications, you're building whatever tools, how would you design it? How would you build it such that the human factor is retained in there and we get feedback from the humans in a very nice, inclusive way with heart? So how would you do that? I would like to get your comment, feedback. And then from a technology perspective, we have this reinforced human-centered feedback loop that obviously we can incorporate into your chatbots. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you, everybody. And hope you have a fantastic weekend. Stay safe. And I will see you next week. I'm going to be meeting some of my students, alums back in Barcelona, and I don't think the classes are recorded, or the discussion I'm going to have with the whole school. If that is live streamed, I'll share that. Otherwise, I will see you online back next week. I definitely will do Sudha live for sure. And hope you'll tune in for Susanna Raj's Can AI Heal Us? And for the HAI event from Stanford on what do we really, really want from AI. I'm still pondering about it. And if you have answers, share with me. Bye.